Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Memo. Now, some of you as listeners might recall that, back in December 2017, I took a journey into the unknown as we launched the Strength in the Numbers show, SITN show, in order to create more influential finance professionals who solve meaningful problems for their organizations and then can have more rewarding, successful, and fun careers in accounting and finance. And a year later, having reached 115 episodes and a run rate of 15,000 downloads a month, I've learned a number of things along the way, both about our finance profession, but also for me personally that I'd like to share with you on this podcast today. And here's 5 of them. The first one is one that's blown me away a bit, is actually we're truly a global profession, and not only that, we're willing to learn, we're curious. Embarking on this journey, I'd asked a question on the website Quora to validate my own research that there's approximately about 5 million qualified or nearly newly qualified accountants globally. And within this large number, we've our own smaller networks that we're familiar with. However, as of writing, the SITN show has been listened to and watched in over 135 countries just in its own first 12 months. And, I've visualized that on a chart. I suggest you go check it out. It's on our YouTube site and also on our website, sitnshow.com. And I've always fundamentally believed that our profession already has within ourselves a lot of the answers already to ensure that we remain relevant in this age of digital disruption, the cognitive computing, the geopolitical and demographic shifts, as well as the increasing expectations upon us to keep up with these changes. We already have the tools and knowledge at our disposal. We just use the Strength in the Numbers show as a way of bringing that out to a wider audience. And that's why we've had so many guest mentors on from our worldwide community. They come on, they donate their time, they share their great stories, their wisdom, they help reduce some of the uncertainty for us by showing us what it looks like on the other side of the fence or what the path ahead might involve. It helps us learn or benefit what works well and not so well in practice, particularly around the traits or the softer skills, less technical skill sets that we need to develop and enhance, so that we can become more influential and create more value around what we do. So look, I challenge listeners, think of those who in your network might be a good guest mentor to invite onto the show, so other members in our community can benefit from some of their lessons, ideas, their wisdom. So either comment below with the post that goes with this show, or actually send me an instant message on LinkedIn and I can follow up with them separately. The second lesson is, I guess, that I knew we were curious, but we're a really curious bunch, but some of us are more curious on where we need to be developing and enhancing and becoming more influential than others. Okay, so we've had 135 countries listen in, and on the chart I share, the darker shaded areas is where I suppose more of the listeners have downloaded, viewed, or listened in. But we've also had some smaller countries with not big populations, like Greenland. They got 56,000 its population. Samoa, American Samoa, similar size, and Bermuda just a little bit bigger than that. And we've also had areas listen into the show that have had civil unrest, like Syria, Sudan, Myanmar. So, despite the many challenges people in our profession are facing, they're still willing to try and develop and evolve. And that's really positive for our profession. We're a real curious bunch. And I draw strength from those taking a serious approach to developing themselves despite all the things that are going on around them. And, because obviously most listeners are coming from larger populated countries, I calculated a metric. I call it like listening learner intensity, where I adjusted the download numbers for the relative populations. And I, based on the 2017 levels I was able to get off Wikipedia, and I use that to gauge the relative interest at a country level in the show, and I share with you the top 10 list. And it was actually quite interesting to see that Ireland was top of the list, followed by Barbados and then Denmark and Australia. So they were the top names on the list. And actually, funny enough, during the last year, I would say I've had an awful lot of engagement relative to those population sizes from listeners and the audience, but also guest mentors too. There's some really fantastic things happening in these countries, and that's probably why they are actually overrepresented in the I suppose the learning intensity numbers for our listeners of the Strength in the Numbers show. So look, I again, I have another call to action here for our listeners, is that definitely check those lists out of the top 10. Do you think there's anyone missing off that list that should be higher, or should any of those actually be lower? I mean, Ireland at the end of the day is a small country in the Atlantic Ocean, but we've always punched above our weight. And I'd also encourage you, who in your network or country might actually benefit from some of the lessons that our guest mentors are showing, the ideas, the practical advice, and you send them a link to the show. I'll put one in the show notes so they can come back and check out past episodes that they actually might benefit from as well. A really cool lesson I learned with my third point is that conversations lead to opportunities. And these are just some of the words that Martin Gilchrist from episode 56 mentioned on the show. And I've been very fortunate then throughout the year to have had meaningful conversations with those guest mentors, with some of our audience members and listeners from the show, and it's just been full of amazing opportunities from there. I've had the chance to make lifelong connections and friendships, take part in debates, travel to new countries, speak at events, drive the agenda for the finance profession forward with CEOs of accounting associations in person, got a promotion at work. It's really been an unreal year. So again, I challenge our audience members, that next conversation you have, at work or outside of work, listen intently, see how you can possibly help that person. And if you can't, ask at the end of the conversation, how can I help you? And see what opportunities that presents to you in the weeks ahead. And this is a very personal lesson I learned with number 4, is that worthy goals aren't always as easy as a walk in the park. And that brought back in my mind the conversation with guest mentor Paul Sweeney on episode 78, where he challenged us to figure out what is our extra. Because building a podcast from scratch, setting it up, getting the right equipment, investing in that, arranging and researching interviews with guest mentors, editing the shows. The first one with Anders Leo Lindberg took 15 hours to record, edit, produce, and get up onto a website. It wasn't easy, And whilst the process itself, the production process, is much easier nowadays, there was times where it was getting quite difficult behind the scenes, and I needed to call for help from my network and my friends. So, competing responsibilities as well is I had a very patient partner and kids at home that have allowed me to go the extra mile, but it's definitely worth it in the end. So if something's worth doing, it's probably not always going to be as easy as you might like it to be. So I've got some scars, but definitely I feel better for taking on such a big challenge as well. So I would also encourage our audience to figure out what is our extra for the year ahead, and who can you talk with or learn from to help start making that more of a reality. And this last lesson is probably my favorite one of the lot, is that showing up continually will lead to results. I suppose this saying, it's a bit obvious because, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And actually, I was looking the other day, there's a lot of accounting and finance podcasts sprouting up the moment. I can't even get to them all. But getting going on these podcasts or any initiative we take in finance is easy bit. Maintaining it, building it is much tougher. But that's actually the part that will lead to the results. I mean, some weeks when we started off in the show, we hardly had any listeners. It could be quite demotivating if that's how you judge your standard. But I knew with the feedback we were getting, we were doing the right thing. And some other weeks, we were probably a day from going out of business as a show because we didn't have any guest mentors to bring on. And all of a sudden, out pops a guest mentor, we record it quickly, edit it quickly, and it's up on the show the following day. And setting ourselves commitments like making sure there's a show there every Monday and Thursday, forces us to keep showing up and deliver. So what I continually draw from is the purpose of the show, knowing that why behind the show. Again, to create influential finance professionals worldwide who solve meaningful problems for their organizations they serve, and then they can have fun, rewarding, and successful careers in finance. And that's my call to action to our listeners today and viewers today, is what commitments are you going to put in place and stick to? And what purpose, what's your why that's going to keep driving you in those particular hard times, you know. But that said, if the going does get tough, and it will get tough, particularly if what you're doing is a worthy goal, follow my LinkedIn profile. You know, I'm there every day sharing updates that are hopefully helpful to those in our finance profession. And, you know, they come from the rest of my network, articles, podcast videos, and other updates that are aimed to help us all become a bit more influential. So look, let's make 2019 an amazing year for our profession. Let's build on our strength in the numbers, not in our major countries only, but in some of our more up and coming ones, so we can leverage our skills, literally our strength in the numbers, to become more influential and have more fun careers in the year ahead. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to share it with your friends, colleagues, or anyone who you think would really benefit from some of the advice that we've been sharing, not just in this episode, but also in the previous ones. So look, thanks for investing your time with us today, and let's keep on building our strength in the numbers.